years ago, like I told you in therapy, was the difference between being responsible for something and responsible to it. Being responsible for means controlling outcomes, right? Like that is the biggest distinction, right? If I'm responsible for my children at school where they're away from me, it's easier for me to just kind of go with what's happening in the moment. And two of them are in class. That means I'm responsible for them completing their homework. That means I'm responsible for their behavior. That means I'm responsible for how they show up in class, how they talk to their teacher. I can't possibly be responsible for. I'm not even there. That's not even me. I'm here with you, right? So then that means that I have to control them. I have to dominate. You better do this. You better do that. Why? And then it becomes punitive. If you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. I'm not doing that. You had them for 8 hours in school. We're also not doing homework when they come back. Now, I am super happy if they miss something in class, send it on home. They will work on that. We will talk about it, but we are not doing more things, right? I'm not responsible for their homework. The same way I'm not responsible for their outcomes. Often as parents, and like I said, that's going to be my lens when your kid is doing great, all of a sudden it's you, right? Yeah, parenting my kid. Okay, but when your kid is not so great, because we got plenty of adults that are trash, I don't see any parents speaking up. I don't see any parents taking responsibility for that fucked up kid. Why? So you shift that to being responsible too. And then you're not trying to control outcomes. Being responsible too means showing up with integrity while allowing others their agency. I have no control over what anybody else does. I don't even desire the control over what anybody else does because again, it just is more work. It is more labor. Like I am not here to labor, right? I think that we should be frolicking. I'm sitting outside. It is beautiful. I could hear the birds, right? They're coming back. They're enjoying the new budding of spring. I want to do that, right? I think that we should be frolicking. I do not think that we should be constantly behind screens, meeting deadlines, and doing all of these things. There is a great need to return back to natural cycles. And that is what matriarchal creations, circle, return to looks like. Tamina says, when my daughter acts out, I first self reflect on what part I played. Right. And that's information, right? Like, okay, well, what happened today or this week or what are they going through? And the best person to tell you what they're going through is the person. Like it's them. I could assume we're gonna make stories up. I'm not gonna make up a story, right? Because if I make up a story, it may not be true. And that is what happens when oh my gosh, you know what? I must have done something wrong. So it becomes self-blame, shame, self-flagellation. And it's like, you know what? Maybe they're just having a bad day. Maybe they're just off. Maybe they're just having a life of their own because they are. And when we're responsible to someone, we could see them as whole people with agency, with autonomy, and not something that we need to move around in order for it to perform for us. So, when I listened to Leah talk yesterday about the astrological cycles right now, that distinction came back up again, the responsible for versus responsible to, because March carries that energy of completion and not necessarily dramatic endings, right? Things become complete. It's kind of like when this live is over, it's over. That's completion. When I hit send on an article, that's completion. That is not always dramatic. We do not need to be catastrophic. Things end. That is the cycle. Everything comes to an end in all of the ways. I don't care if you've been in partnership for 30 years. There are different iterations of that relationship. It ends, right? That infatuation stage completes. That, rigorous love phase, it sometimes comes to an end, right? Now it could become something else, and that is a lovely thing. But it does all things end. That is my point, right? I'm about to be 47 in 40 days. which is wild to me because in my mind, I'm 27. Like, and I don't know where the hell those 20 years went, but they ended, friends. They ended. They absolutely ended. And I look back, especially on a day like today, where I'm celebrating the beginnings. And then I have these